All right, guys, just a couple more days until the end of August. And yeah, Chiseled Face Midnight Stag is the scent for the soap splash and cologne. The Nacet blade, I did check, and today's use number 604, so my card here is correct. Semogue Owners Club with a Taj handle is the brush. Continues to be the brush for August. Timeless open comb, stainless steel razor with a 68 gap. It does have the scalloped head because that matches nicely with the open comb. I have the smooth head, and I have not noticed any kind of performance difference with the scalloped versus the smooth head. I also did not really notice too much difference between the in terms of the solid bar versus the scalloped bar. So this is obviously the third kind, the open comb, but the solid or the scalloped bar pretty much felt the same to me. So I'd say go for whichever one looks nicer to you, makes you feel better, that kind of thing. So there's my little etchings to show you it's the same Nacet blade. Get my face a little wet. So yesterday we did a 10-second swirl on the soap, and that was preceded by 3 days of 8-second swirls with me modifying my technique to see if I could fine-tune that 8 seconds. And no, it ended up to be that was just kind of a skimpy amount of soap, and they were starting with 8 seconds, and each time I believe I had to go in and add a little bit more soap to the mix by a few more swirls. And so when I did 10 seconds last time, I skipped the need to have to go back to the soap a second time, and so it kind of confirmed what those 8 swirls were telling me. So let's see what we get. Let's double the 8 swirls to 16. I bet we'll just have tons of lather, and let's just see what happens. Slurry lather again today. Couple of shakes. Still have a good bit of water in the brush. 1, 2, 3. 16. I mentioned yesterday that going into this month, I expected if I did a bunch of slurry lathers to really see the duration, the number of swirls decrease and decrease and decrease quite a bit. And it did happen that way. But then once I got to about 8 swirls, I discovered, wow, it's not equalizing. It's not continuing with that downturn like it did last year with a stiffer, more populated in terms of bristles brush. And it turns out it's got to be the brush that makes all the difference, right? So with the 16 seconds, we have the lather develop a little slurry here much more quickly. Pressed a little too much, and so you saw how it kind of dumped out right there. I'm going to spend a little bit more time than usual on this first pass. Obviously, the 16 is going to be one very good way to go here. We're going to end up with a lot of lather. So then the secret is finding where you like your own count to be. Soap is pretty cheap generally, and so even if 16 gave me 6 passes of lather and I didn't need that, it's not really, especially this is a very economical soap base, but even with something more expensive like Barrister and Man, you are still getting a lot of uses for your tub. A sterling tub, 5.8 ounces, will last me over a year of shaving. You know, once a day shaving. I think it was 13 months and something when I did calculation. And so soap is pretty cheap. When you take a look at their pricing, it was about, what, $13 a tub, $1 a month, you know, roughly. That's, then divide that dollar by 30 and you're talking about 3 cents a shave. So that's what we mean when we say soap is cheap. A little bit of water. Yeah, now we've pretty much got a... it's not a totally mature lather in the sense that it's not homogeneous within the brush. The brush has definitely more some pockets of wetness. And that's kind of the way this lathering method works, is because it holds on to that water for use later on in the shave. Where if you have a lightly watered brush and you load in kind of to traditional, in terms of the currently very popular way for face lathering, you're putting paste on your face and then you are slowly adding water to get it to where you want it. And a lot of people like that, and that's fine. But that's the reverse of this. And so they often will run out of soap toward the end because they didn't start with a bunch of water in the brush like we do here. And there we go. Nice quick pass. See how it feels. Oh yeah, you can feel that good slickness during a little splash of water there. If you do a full rinse, that's fine. You'll be able to feel it more. I don't need to work the lather as much as I am right now. I'm just having fun with the brush and enjoying it. And there we go. How much lather do we still have in the brush after 3 passes? Yeah, a good bit. That's definitely another pass. A very luxurious one more pass. So, you know, 16 for this brush might be not too far from kind of that perfect line between getting enough to really enjoy your shave, have a nice cushiony lather, a luxurious feel, but then not having tons of lather left over at the end to go down the drain. So, you know, who knows, maybe 14 or something like that might be that perfection. And still, yeah, you can, I don't know if you can tell the way the razor's moving or the way it sounds, but it's super slick. It's easily gliding across my face. A lot of the stubble, of course, is gone by now, and so you just you don't get the stubble slowing down your razor, and so you get that full-on slickness. And I have nice residual effects as well, residual slickness there. So with this brush, at least, if you had a brush that was smaller than this one, and there are Semogue borers that are that, you might want to load a little bit more to get the same effect as what I just got. With a brush like the B13 from Zenith, more hairs, more directionality in terms of parallel hairs instead of the display of this brush, that's going to pick up more soap. And so less swirls, less of a swirl count is probably going to be what you need. So there we go. Let me get a good rinse here. And yes, it does look like the splash will make it through the month. I assumed it would, but it's kind of closer than I thought it would be. So the 16 was nice. Now, again, can I take a dry tub of this same soap base and just do 16 swirls and be fine with even with the same brush? No, not if it's dry, not if it hadn't been used in a while. That has some water, some moisture in it from the previous day's shave, and so that makes a difference. So, you know, it may be 30 swirls. It may be so many swirls when it's dry that you don't want to count swirls. You want to count seconds or something like that. You can definitely, in some situations, you can definitely go by the looks of it as you're working when a froth starts to develop. But I've shown you many times. I'll hold the brush up to you after a load, and you just don't see any soap on it. And so a lot of times, if you go by the sight and seeing the froth, and if it's especially if it's a thick early kind of lather, then you've loaded for too long, or at least you've loaded for you have loaded for long enough to where you have way more soap than you actually need. Now maybe, like we talked about, soap is cheap. Maybe you're fine with that, and if so, then great. It just means you're going to have to add more water to compensate for that. If you want a super slick lather, if you want a dry lather, relatively speaking, then you're fine. You're in good shape. So that was the splash. And that's the cap rolling around of the cologne. I'm not going to take my watch off this time. I'm going to push it down. And I knew that it would last the month. I'm guessing that this amount might last for, you know, another, maybe if I used it next August, half of the month before it goes out. It's really funny how little of a spray you get. And so who knows, maybe even longer, maybe the whole month, who knows. Maybe I was entirely too fast to purchase a new bottle of the cologne, but it's always good to have on hand. You never know. All right. Especially living by myself now. I don't have a roommate anymore. So if I want to smell like the Stag all day, then I can, right? That's terrific. Okay. So that is use number 604 of the Nacet. That's right, because I believe 606 was going to be the ending count of the Nacet at the end of 31 days of August. So that makes sense. That tracks. I'll probably keep using the razor, the blade, just to get to a different number than 606. Maybe something like 610. Something like that. Just kind of a more round number. All right. I think that's it. I have rinsed out the razor. Somebody posted a comment recently that said, how do you clean your razors? And to be honest with you, I don't really need to. As you can see, I haven't cleaned, I don't know that I've ever cleaned this razor. Let me show it to you. Here's the base plate. That's just moisture. That's just water. There's nothing to clean because my lathers are so wet and slick. I'm going to take the Nacet out, and when I put it back in, I'm going to make sure I face it the right way this time. And here's the underside of the base plate. There's just no soap buildup. There's no soap residue. And so it's just, I guess, another benefit of such wet lathers is you just don't get the soap buildup. I'll even kind of use my t-shirt here and I rubbed the bottom side here, and I don't know that you could tell a difference between the bottom and the top there. There's just, I don't really need to clean my razors. You might, if you have hard water, it looks like maybe that, I'll have to look at it and see. I'm on city water now. Before I was on a local well, and the guy had a built-in home filtering system for all the water in the house. And so I'm sure that I'm getting more minerals and stuff in the water I have now than when, like, I used to have the painting behind me. at that location. So I have been interested to see, I'll think about it every once in a while. I've never voiced it on video yet. Interested to see if the water hardness, if I'll experience different lathers at this location, but it seems to be working just fine. Taste-wise, this water tastes like there's some chemical additives to it to clean it up and stuff. I am closer to the beach, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but I used to vacation in Myrtle Beach. I don't know if you're aware that a lot of times beach water has to be over-processed to get all the, I don't know, salt out or whatever. And so I could rarely ever drink straight water from the tap at Myrtle Beach. When I was a kid, we'd go there during Thanksgiving holiday, that kind of thing. It was a lot of fun. And I could never just drink that straight water. Now, it made great grits. Somehow that chemistry worked so well to make grits. We enjoyed that a lot. But here I can taste a hint of that, but fortunately it's not enough to make me not be able to drink it. So that's good. And it seems to be good enough where it's not affecting my lathers very much at all. So I'm happy about that. Thanks very much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. See you next time. Good night.